Chosen one, listen closely, because this moment is not random, and this message is not for every ear. If you are reading these words, it is because God Himself has led you here with urgency and purpose. Heaven has issued a summons over your life, and you have stepped into it without even realizing it. Your spirit has been sensing a shift, an uneasiness you couldn't explain, a distant alarm ringing inside you, and today God is pulling back the veil to reveal exactly what that warning has been about. There is a man in your life, someone familiar, someone whose presence feels normal and harmless, yet he is not who he pretends to be. He has worn his mask well, but heaven has seen what you could not. You might feel your heartbeat rising as the truth draws near, but do not turn away. Avoiding this revelation will only leave you exposed to the trap that has been quietly forming around you. God is speaking now because your destiny timeline is being tampered with, and this man is standing in the way of the open door you have been praying for. You may believe you arrived here by accident, that this message simply appeared on your screen, but nothing is accidental in the kingdom of God. You have been brought here because heaven refuses to let you continue walking blindly beside someone whose intentions block your blessings. Stay with me until the very end. The truth about this man will shock you, not because he is a stranger, but because he is someone you trusted, someone you welcomed into your circle, someone you believed was safe. The weight you feel in your chest is not fear, it is recognition. Your spirit already knows what your mind is only now beginning to accept. God is exposing what has been hidden, and He is doing it now because your future cannot afford further delay. But before you go further, seal your spirit. Declare in the comments, 777, I receive what God is revealing. I am awake. I am listening. Like this message, share it, and subscribe as a prophetic act, an outward sign that you choose alignment with God's voice over every counterfeit. Now, prepare yourself. The unveiling begins. There is a man in your life, familiar to your eyes, comfortable to your mind, woven seamlessly into your routine, into your trust, into your conversations. On the surface, he appears harmless, even supportive. His tone is calm, his presence predictable, his words crafted to seem caring. But beneath the thin layer of charm and familiarity lies a quiet corrosion, a subtle danger, a spiritual weight that has been working against your progress without your conscious awareness. God is revealing to you that this man is not aligned with your destiny. He is aligned with your delay. His proximity is not accidental. His kindness is not pure. His interest is not holy. What he presents outwardly is a mask, a practiced performance, a polished disguise shaped to gain your trust, your openness, your vulnerability. This is why your spirit has felt uneasy in moments you could not explain. This is why your peace faltered around him, even when your mind tried to rationalize it away. You felt the misalignment. You felt the heaviness. You felt the spiritual friction. Those were not random emotions. Those were warnings, and heaven is clarifying them now. C.S. Lewis once wrote in the Screwtape Letters that the most dangerous attacks against a soul rarely come from obvious enemies. They come from subtle influences, familiar voices, gentle suggestions, people who seem harmless but slowly bend your path away from truth. He illustrated how the enemy works through ordinary relationships, the ones close enough to bypass your defenses. The danger is rarely loud. It is quiet, polite, and consistent. Lewis called it the gentle slope, the slow descent into bondage caused not by a dramatic fall, but by the company of the wrong person. This man in your life operates exactly like that. He has studied your strengths. He has observed your dreams. He has memorized your insecurities. And he uses all three, not in obvious ways, but in subtle, calculated ways that plant doubt, drain clarity, and distort direction. When you celebrated, he complimented you with a tone that made your spirit shrink. When you opened your heart, he listened with empathy that felt slightly off, slightly hollow, slightly rehearsed. When you shared your vision, his response carried a hidden shadow, a softness that concealed a seed of discouragement. Every time you advanced, he found a way to slow you down. Every time you gained confidence, he found a way to weaken it. Every time you received a revelation, he found a way to cloud it. That is not friendship. That is not care. That is not love. That is interference. That is spiritual sabotage. And God is exposing it because your next season cannot be built on contaminated ground. Understand this deeply. A man does not need to strike you openly to harm your destiny. He only needs to speak doubt at the right moment, cast confusion in the right hour, or offer comfort that pulls you away from the path God ordained. This man is standing in a place where he should never have been given access. God is removing the veil so you can reclaim the territory of your heart, your mind, your purpose. What is being revealed now is the truth. And truth, once seen, cannot be unseen. You must look back now not with guilt, not with shame, but with awakened eyes, because the signs were there. They were subtle, quiet, easy to dismiss, but they were real, and heaven is illuminating them, so you finally understand what your spirit has been trying to tell you all along. There were moments when your heart tightened for no reason, when your breath felt heavier around him, when the atmosphere shifted in ways you couldn't rationalize. You felt an inner pause, an inner hesitation, a tug in your chest that whispered caution. Those were not coincidences. Those were divine alerts. Every time you shared something precious and felt strangely drained afterward, that was a sign. Every time he responded to your joy with an expression that didn't quite match his words, that was a sign. Every time he gave you advice that sounded wise but somehow left you confused, unsettled, or smaller than before, that was a sign. Yet you brushed these feelings aside, because you are compassionate. After all, you wanted to believe the best, because your heart is naturally forgiving. You told yourself you were imagining things. You convinced yourself you were overthinking. You minimized the discomfort, but heaven never minimized it. God placed those signals in your spirit to protect you long before words could form. You remember the moments, those exact instances when something inside you whispered, "Pay attention." Maybe it was the way his encouragement always came with a hidden sting, a tone that didn't fully support your growth. Maybe it was how he asked questions that felt intrusive beneath the surface. Maybe it was how he became strangely distant right when God was elevating you. Misdirection, mistrust, misalignment. These were the quiet patterns you didn't want to admit, because facing them meant questioning the role you allowed him to have in your life. But the truth is this: discernment is often subtle, not loud. It does not shout. It nudges. It does not accuse. It warns. It does not overwhelm. It unsettles. And you felt those nudges, those warnings, those unsettled moments, but your loyalty overpowered your intuition. Hear this clearly. Every uneasiness was a spiritual message, not an emotional glitch. Every hesitation was heaven trying to interrupt deception before it grew deeper. Every internal whisper was God preserving your future from a connection meant to weaken you. You overlooked the signs because your heart is pure. But God is now bringing them back to your remembrance so you can break the cycle, reclaim your clarity, and see the truth that was always there, waiting for you to acknowledge it. You have been wondering why you felt stuck, why progress came slowly, and why clarity slipped through your fingers even when you prayed, worked, and tried with all your heart. You questioned yourself, doubted yourself, and even blamed yourself, not realizing that the stagnation you felt was not a flaw within you, it was a shadow placed over you. And that shadow came through him. His presence has operated like a spiritual anchor, subtle but heavy, pulling you backward every time you tried to move forward, not through dramatic sabotage, not through obvious hostility, but through quiet interference and energy, a tone, a discouraging seed planted at just the wrong moment. Progress requires light, alignment, and an unhindered atmosphere. But his spirit introduced friction, fog, and confusion. You were trying to rise while he was pulling your frequency down without ever lifting a hand. You were trying to run while he wrapped invisible ropes around your steps. You were trying to grow while he breathed doubt into the soil of your confidence. That is why your prayers felt delayed. That is why your momentum felt fragile. That is why your joy rose slowly and fell quickly. When someone is spiritually misaligned with your destiny, their influence, no matter how subtle, interrupts the flow of blessing, the clarity of purpose, and the strength of identity. This is not emotional, it is spiritual. This is not imagined, it is atmospheric. This is not a coincidence, it is interference. Think of every season where it felt like you were almost there, almost free, almost healed, yet something pushed you backward. Think of every moment when inspiration filled you in private, but faded as soon as you interacted with him. Think of how your mind became foggy after conversations that should have lifted you. That is stagnation caused by proximity, not by incompetence. His presence brought weight, not wind. Resistance, not release. Delay, not acceleration. Understand this truth deeply. Spiritual misalignment always produces earthly stagnation. When someone stands against your destiny, even unknowingly, their shadow dims your light. Their doubts infect your courage. Their energy interferes with your breakthrough. That is why God is exposing this now, because you cannot carry dead weight into a living destiny. You cannot rise while someone tied to your past is pulling your future down. You cannot receive the fullness of what God has prepared while a hidden saboteur lingers in your circle. The stagnation you felt was not a sign that you were failing. It was a sign that someone near you was draining the spiritual momentum meant to lift you. And heaven is removing that weight so you can finally breathe, rise, and move without resistance. There comes a moment in every destiny when heaven refuses to stay silent, when God steps into the timeline of a person's life and says, "Enough." You have reached that moment. This is the hour of divine interruption, the moment where God himself breaks into your story to dismantle what has been hindering you, to expose what has been deceiving you, and to lift what has been weighing you down. God is not merely observing your situation, he is intervening in it. He has watched the quiet erosion of your confidence, the subtle draining of your spirit, the invisible sabotage that you could not articulate. He has seen the hidden words, the private intentions, the silent judgments of the man who has been standing too close to your purpose. And now, heaven is acting. Just as God stepped into Moses' story to confront Pharaoh, just as he tore Joseph out of the hands of jealous brothers and elevated him despite their schemes, God is stepping into your life with a decisive hand. He is confronting the spirit that has tried to restrain you. He is tearing down the manipulations that were crafted behind your back. He is cutting away the influence that has been limiting your growth. This intervention is not gentle because your calling is not small. When heaven intervenes, things shift rapidly. People are exposed, masks fall off, connections break, paths realign. God is not removing this man to punish him, he is removing him to protect you. There is territory ahead of you that cannot be shared with the wrong presence. There are blessings prepared for you that cannot coexist with hidden sabotage. There is elevation waiting for you that requires purity, clarity, and divine alignment. His hand is moving through your environment like a refining fire, burning away every counterfeit attachment. His voice is thundering through your spirit, saying, "My child, you will not walk another step, bound to what seeks to bind you." The chains are breaking not because you pulled hard enough, but because God commanded them to. The interference is being dismantled not because you recognized it in time, but because God refused to let delay become your destiny. This is the moment of release, the moment of separation, the moment heaven reclaims what belongs to you. God is drawing a line, a boundary, a divine barrier that darkness cannot cross. His intervention is not a suggestion, it is a decree. You are being pulled out of entanglement, out of deception, out of spiritual drain, and into the clarity that has been waiting to flourish. What God is severing now will not reconnect. What he is exposing now will not hide again. What he is removing now will not return. This is your turning point, and nothing will stop it. You are stepping closer now, closer to clarity, closer to truth, closer to the unveiling that heaven has been preparing your spirit to receive. There is a weight in the atmosphere, a pressure building in the unseen, because the revelation of who this man truly is no longer distant. It is advancing toward you. It is circling your spirit. It is pushing against the veil that has kept you in confusion for far too long. You can feel it. You can sense it. You can almost touch the truth that is about to break open. The name is not a casual detail. It is the key to understanding why your journey has felt delayed, why your peace has been interrupted, and why your intuition has been stirring without rest. The reason this revelation feels heavy is that the connection ran deep. The man God is warning you about is not an outsider. He is someone familiar enough to bypass your defenses, someone close enough to influence your emotions, someone comfortable enough to blend into the rhythm of your life without raising alarms. But heaven is raising the alarm now. Think about the moments when your spirit recoiled while your mind tried to justify his behavior. Think about the times when something felt off, subtle, quiet, but persistent. That tension was not confusion. It was revelation trying to surface. Your discernment has been knocking on the door of your consciousness for months, and now God is opening that door completely. Understand this. When God brings you to the edge of revelation, it is because he is preparing to separate you from what has been secretly limiting you. This man's presence has created spiritual static noise that blurred your hearing, fog that dulled your intuition, distraction that diluted your purpose. But the fog is lifting now. The interference is breaking. The truth is rising. The closer the revelation comes, the more your spirit awakens. Your heart may beat faster. Your chest may feel warm. Your thoughts may sharpen with sudden clarity. That is not fear, that is your spirit aligning with what God is about to reveal. The name is drawing near, not to shock you without reason, but to free you with understanding, to unlock what has been locked, to expose what has been hidden, to illuminate what has been darkened. God is not revealing the name for drama. He is revealing it for destiny, because you cannot carry this weight into the next season. You cannot walk with purpose while walking beside someone who has no intention of honoring it. The revelation is coming. The truth is approaching. And when it reaches you, when your spirit recognizes the identity heaven is pointing to, everything inside you will align with a single realization. God has been protecting you long before you understood from whom. Now that the veil is thinning, your memory is beginning to awaken. Scenes you once brushed aside are returning with sharper edges, clearer meaning, and undeniable truth. You are beginning to understand what your spirit sensed long before your mind could interpret it. God is guiding you back through moments you lived but did not fully see, moments that carried warnings you were too trusting, too hopeful, or too compassionate to acknowledge. Think of the times when you shared your victories with him. You expected joy, celebration, or encouragement, yet something in his eyes dimmed instead of brightened. His smile appeared, but it trembled at the edges. His words congratulated you, but the tone carried a weight that deflated your excitement. In those moments, your spirit shrank, but you told yourself it was nothing. Think of when you opened your heart, revealing your fears, your dreams, your vulnerabilities. He listened intently, yes, but afterward you felt strangely exposed, unsettled, as if you had handed something sacred to someone who did not know how to hold it. You felt drained, not strengthened. You felt uncertain, not supported. And yet, you dismissed it. Think of the conversations that left you confused. You entered them feeling clear, confident, or hopeful, but you walked away foggy, doubtful, or emotionally heavy. His advice always seemed wise on the surface, but something in you resisted it because it diluted your courage rather than amplified it. Again, you ignored the signal. Every subtle reaction, every flicker in his expression, every shift in the atmosphere was pointing to a truth that you were not ready to confront. He was not happy when you grew, not supportive when you dreamed, not aligned with where God was trying to take you. You see it now. You feel the clarity tightening around your awareness like a lens coming into focus. This awakening is not meant to wound you. It is meant to free you. God is showing you that your hesitation was never paranoia, it was discernment. Your discomfort was never weakness, it was spiritual intelligence. Your confusion was never failure, it was interference. You are finally seeing the pattern. Every moment of progress you experienced was met with subtle resistance. Every spark of joy was met with a quiet shadow. Every step forward was matched by a hidden pull backward. These memories are resurfacing so you can finally understand the truth you once overlooked. He was close to you physically, but far from you spiritually. And now that your eyes are open, you can no longer deny what God has been showing you all along. You have reached the edge now, the threshold where truth can no longer be contained, the moment where God brings everything that was hidden into the light. The pressure you feel is not fear, it is revelation pushing against the final layer of denial. Heaven has been building this moment carefully, deliberately, because the truth you are about to recognize carries the power to sever what has been silently draining you. This is the climax of your awakening. The truth is not approaching anymore. It is here. It is pressing against your awareness, demanding to be seen. The name of this man is not floating somewhere distant in mystery. It is hovering at the front of your consciousness, ready to step out of the shadows and into full clarity. Your spirit already knows. Your intuition already knows. Your heart already knows. It is your mind that has been the last to accept it, because acceptance requires courage, and courage requires truth. Listen closely. Everything that felt off, everything that drained you, every whisper of discomfort, every red flag you excused, all of it now points to one identity. The man you are being warned about is not random. He is not insignificant. He is someone whose presence has intertwined with your routines, your emotions, and your trust. And that is exactly why the enemy used him, because influence only works through access. You were waiting for dramatic betrayal, but God is showing you that betrayal often comes in subtle forms: a shift in tone, a concealed resentment, a quiet jealousy. This moment is not about naming him. It is about recognizing him. Heaven is not focusing on the letters of his name, it is focusing on the impact of his presence. When your spirit reacts, when your memory stirs, when your clarity sharpens, that is your answer. The realization hitting you right now is not your imagination, it is a revelation. And once truth has been revealed, deception loses its power. What is happening within you is divine alignment. The fog that once blurred your perception is gone. The weight that once clouded your intuition has lifted. This is the moment God has been preparing you for. The breaking of illusion, the unveiling of truth, the exposure of the man whose shadow has hovered over your purpose. You are seeing clearly now, and what you see cannot be unseen. You are standing at a crossroads, the very place where destinies shift, where futures are rewritten, where freedom either begins or is delayed. Revelation alone is not enough. Truth demands a response. Now that you see clearly, now that the veil has lifted, now that the identity of this man is no longer a mystery to your spirit, you cannot remain where you've been. You must choose your direction. God is calling you to step out of the shadow that has lingered over your life and into the light that has been waiting to break over you. This is not the moment to hesitate. This is not the moment to second-guess yourself. Hesitation is how strongholds survive. Delay is how bondage regains its grip. If you do nothing, the influence that has drained you will continue to pull at your spirit. But if you choose alignment with God, if you choose separation from what He has exposed, if you choose obedience to what He has revealed, a shift will take place that no darkness can undo. Understand this. God's revelation is always an invitation to break cycles, an invitation to close demonic access points, an invitation to reclaim authority. Heaven is extending its hand to you,